Sing us the song of your people.
Thank you to Bubbles for that introduction. It's kind of giving me a case of the zoomies.
3, 2, 1.
Oh.
Howdy, welcome to this episode 19 of the Where Are We podcast. I am your host, Orange Wolf, and here's the rest of the critters.
Hey, I'm BlackPaws. Nice to be here as always.
Blue again.
Hello there, I'm Blayz. Thanks for having me on again.
Hello, I'm TA. Nice to be here.
I know it's been a while, but it's nice to have you all back on here. How have y'all been?
Too busy, but overall, pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yep. Back after a eventful few weeks.
A reasonable summer.
Like, reasonable except for the heat.
Been nicer if someone didn't bail on me at the last possible minute.
You know, it's funny, everybody's complaining about the heat, and yet over here on the west coast of Canada, we just suffered through our coldest and wettest spring and early summer in years. It didn't stop raining almost daily until mid-July.
I will say I'm thankful for that. Like in our area, there has been a lot of rain lately. It doesn't seem like it's really drought conditions. Like the corn looks really beautiful. The creek beds and things like that are still pretty dry, but all the trees look really nice. It of course has been more humid because of that, but So who bailed on you, Blue?
I don't know, some cat. I was going to go out and visit him on the way back up north, and they suddenly weren't available at the last possible minute, so I was forced to go up 95.
No. I'm going to let you argue with the other wolf on because we gave you advance notice.
I went up 95 and then got stuck in a parking lot because DC traffic doesn't know how to drive in the rain.
So what you're saying is that since you decided to not spend like an extra hour to hang out with me, you spent an extra 6 hours in your car?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Well, fun stuff there. Oh, it's funny because we have a mutual friend, and like communications the wiring got crossed there, and I was like, hey, if I see Blue in person, what do you want me to give him, or do you want to like boop him on the snoot or whatever? And the person responded to something else, and the response was rain with an exclamation point. I'm like, done. And
it was
sure enough,
raining there for the first time in months, so of course he was reacting with rain.
It was likely raining for a good portion of your return trip as well. So I did the best that I could to commit to that promise.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what y'all been up to?
I finished the first couple of classes in my ongoing diploma. I'm going for digital design and development. Did really well. And then I decided I'm going to take the next 4 months of the summer to focus on completing my novel, which I've now done. I've just got to finish the cover artwork and what have you not, and then she'll be ready to publish. So I'll talk more about that in more detail in a future episode. Maybe try to stir up a little hype about that. And other than that, I just got back from a walkabout, aka a camping trip, get away from people and everything, and just zen in nature for a while. It was wonderful. Called a thunderstorm with one of my rituals. Does that sound familiar, Zef?
I don't know what anyone's talking about.
Don't know anything about calling storms?
Not at all.
That sounds very sus to me.
I do have a slight story when it gets to my turn. Everyone else can go first, but
yeah, that's what I've been up to.
I have been up to joining several Therian run role-playing games, like the D&D sort. Among them, Werewolf the Apocalypse and straight D&D, a couple other variants. So that's been pretty fun. I also started engaging in regular hangouts with Therian Gaming, so that's been pretty cool.
I'm surprised he's not playing, or at least explicitly stating he's playing Tabaxis.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not playing Tabaxis at all. I'm actually playing my own custom race that are basically Tiger Leonins.
Tabaxis.
No, different.
Of course they are.
Dogs.
Anyways.
Hey, Hey, I resemble that remark. Be careful.
Had a little family trip down south. Had a very nice time with that. We had phenomenal weather until the return. As already kind of noted earlier, it was a little bit questionable weather, and the greater DC area is always questionable. So that cramped the end of that. And then I am of a certain age, so I had to recently have a procedure done that occurs as a normal part of the aging process, and came back clean from all that. So I don't have to have that.
In
for
more than one,
years.
more than one, obviously.
I sense TMI territory here.
Yeah, that's why I'm not giving that the detail
You're
there.
being very dodgy.
Yeah, just the day before was quite unpleasant, and you don't really remember much of anything from the actual procedures themselves. So, but I got my clean bill of health back from the doctor on that, and then just continuing to plug along with my master's degree, and did fine on my last class. And this current one in microeconomics, I don't see anything to do with microeconomics and what we're covering, and I find that writing essays on this stuff is questionable, but it's what the course is requiring me to do, and I only have to take the one, so I'll be done with it in about 5 weeks.
Yay. Yeah, there's always a course or two where you're just like, I really know I don't need this, but suck it up anyway.
He's a professor who likes to be an academic in his heart of hearts. That's where he belongs, and he believes that everyone needs to be an academic. And yeah, he's very easy to sidetrack and inadvertently at that.
One of those.
Yeah.
All about everything types.
All right, BlackPaws, what about you?
Well, I've been pretty busy these past few weeks with various things, including something I'm gonna mention later. But finally getting a weekend to myself, which is nice.
Does anyone else have daily life stuff? I still have some things that I can talk about too, but I want to make sure everyone else has said what they want to.
We already listened to one cat. Why would we want to listen to two?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I kind of have to laugh about some of this stormy business that we had going on too. So I went to a I don't know if you would call it a festival, but I went somewhere like probably about a month ago, and I was told not to bring my rain stick. So of course I brought my rain stick and extra cedar and other fun stuff, and drove through a place called Mount Storm to get there. At any rate, so this place is like a camp out / festival sort of thing, art, music, that kind of stuff. And like, so I get all the way there and I unpack and I start putting my tent up, and I'm like, oh, I left my rain fly at home. That's inconvenient. Yeah. Long story short, one of the days was a complete washout. Like, it rained constantly, and everyone's looking at me and they're like, why the fuck did you bring the rain stick? And I'm like, it was an accident. Meanwhile, I had pictures of me like purposefully packing it, so I've already sent to people. So yeah, it's been fun. I everything was completely drenched. I recently got an otter pelt, and it has been it had its like baptism in natural deluge, basically. So yeah, it's been purified and sanctified in nature's own way. So that's fun. Yeah, sorry we didn't get to meet Blue, but I understand that you didn't want to have birthday cake anyway.
Yeah, who wants cake? Come on.
Cake is a lie.
For me, I've been through some dark stuff, and I only kind of want to touch the topic a little bit. So like I bring up things like cancel culture and things like that on this podcast pretty frequently, and try to tell people basically don't be assholes, right? You never know what someone else is going through. And in the last few weeks, last few months, actually, I've been trying to take a bit of a shift to delve into behavioral health and try to figure out ways to like actually help the community in that sense. Understand myself better, understand my own past better, help other people understand things like that too. And it's 2 weeks ago, my uncle committed suicide, and it really messed with me. Kind of brought a lot of it was a very grounding thing. You sincerely never know what someone else is going through. And I see things like community warfare and people bullying and harassing each other and things like that too. Don't do that. Like, if you're listening, don't do that at all. Just completely stop. It is not good. We're in a state in the entire world right now where mental health is something that's like it's a very fragile thing. So, do the best that you can to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Try to help out the others around you if you can. I know no one can be there for everyone else 100% of the time. None of us is going to have all of the resources that we need to make sure everything goes okay. But just be mindful of what others may be going through and how some interactions may impact them. I come from a background of anxiety, so in the past I've been paralyzed by like, oh, I'm afraid to do this or this because it might impact someone negatively. And you shouldn't be like that either. There's a practical balance to be had too. So be mindful. If you see other people who are being assholes to each other, tell them to stop. Like, just say that behavior is not acceptable. Stop doing it. If you see that someone needs help and you don't have the resources yourself, it's okay to try to find other people who may be able to give better resources. Just be kind to each other. That's all I really got to say for that.
I'll add to that point in the sense of you never really know what someone's going through. There's a lighter side to that as well. You never really know what positive, amazing influence that you can have on someone just with, hey, how's it going? That's it. That's all it takes is to just acknowledge a person's existence and acknowledge that they are there and they are, I see you, you're valuable. You don't have to be some kind of magical priest in order to reach out to somebody. And you never know when it could totally change their life. I myself came from a background of almost complete social isolation. And in a sense, that isolation still continues to this day. I don't have in real life friends with people around me. It's just something that's not happening right now. But because of my past, I'm okay with it. But what it's taught me in getting into the online Therian communities and getting really more involved with that, not only is it helping me to grow, but it's helping me to realize that just by being there and being myself, I really can make a difference. It's not hard. You just got to stand up, just be there. That's it. That's all I got to say on that.
That's true. And I want to say, I also, because of my own past, I think that I've romanticized that a little bit much on my own end, where I almost developed like a savior complex in certain parts of my life. Like, it's okay to keep things in check, but I do think it's a good idea to just reach out to other people and say again, hey, how are you doing? There is nothing really magical about it. You don't have to be a well-trained healer, or you don't have to be a psychologist to ask someone how they're doing, or to try to help them figure out how to get through the day if they're having a crappy day. Sometimes we're afraid, I guess, to do stuff like that because we don't feel like we're equipped for whatever.
There's always the win some, lose some equation, that's for sure. But even something just as simple as bothering to reply to someone's post can make a big difference.
I think it's a natural segue to there. It is Howl season, and our fox with black socks is going to give us a little bit of information about something he's personally attended not too long ago. So go for it.
Okay, yeah. Yep, I attended it, I'd say the middle 3 days about of the recent howl up in the Pacific Northwest. Usual spot, nice and relatively isolated, out of cell phone range to give an idea. The main fact that sort of colors everything else that happened is that weekend just happened to be what'll probably be the hottest weekend of the summer. So that added an unexpected road bump, put it that way.
I think I know the weekend you were referring to. I was out in the same weekend. It was brutal.
But actually, since the site is right next to a very actively running river, it's probably actually cooler there than it would have been at home. So that was one thing. But at the same time, it also doesn't lend itself to intense outdoor activity, put it that way.
So what kinds of stuff did you guys end up doing at the Howl?
A lot of conversation, of course. I mean, since you don't have to actually move to do that. Just a lot of hanging out. Going to the river was obviously a key part of things. I mean, there's lots of little stuff here and there. Like, I got my I think my first ever sort of semi-informal tarot reading from a deck of actually animal spirit guide themed cards.
And one of my closest friends probably has the same deck. I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm. And in case you're wondering, the fox is on the magician. I did not get that card, although Traveler did joke that if he was feeling sufficiently tricksy, it would have been a obvious gag to stack the deck so that I got that. But yeah, a lot of time around the fire at night. Saw the Milky Way, which was a really nice treat. It's always very very dark out there, and not a lot. The light pollution is very distant.
Yeah, that's one thing a lot of city folks are blown away by when they come out to the countryside and get away from all that light pollution. Is there's triple the number of stars visible at least.
Yeah. It's always a nice state to go to, because for that and the river and all that. Although personally, the only drawback is that the one place where I don't sort of like roughing it is with bathroom facilities. But even then, short drive away, there's ranger stations for desperate emergencies. So
It's always tough. I think the worst thing for me, I can deal with the bathroom situation, but like not showering for a few days is kind of. I'm a cat. I need to keep clean.
Understandable. That's what the river is for. At least
Just throw the damn cat in the river every few days.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Or one of the
couldn't do that in the VA Howl because we'd come out blacker and gunkier and yeah.
Or I was thinking one of those, dunking chairs they used for witches way back in the day.
We could always build one at the next howl. And we can try it out on BlackPaws.
That could be the community project, yeah.
Oh boy.
Pretty sure a dunk in that lake would make his paws even blacker.
Yeah, probably.
I tell you, you take a dunk in the lake up here that I go camping next to, boy, oh boy, you're going to shrink. It is so cold. All the streams up here run straight off of snowpack and glacier, run in the canyons where there's nothing but shade, so they don't get a chance to warm up. And then it runs right past the campground and into the river. And I picked up a milk jug of water to take back to my campground, and it literally started to make my arm ache because it was cold.
There is BP since you were right off the river. I'm sure swimming was included. Did you guys fish too, or no?
I don't think I've ever seen fish in that river. It might be too far up or something. I'll have to ask the others sometime if they've ever seen fish. But I personally have not. Although this year was my first dunk into the river myself. I'm more of a warm weather type of person, so usually it would be a bit chilly for me this time of year, but not that weekend. So made for a nice first time experience.
You're lucky you got away with having a campfire when you did. The fire ban went into effect up here on August 4th.
I think it was in place in place that weekend, but there was, among other things, one of those little artificial fire things that came in handy.
Oh, one of those propane fire pits?
Yeah.
Those are okay because you can instantly turn them off.
Yeah. But yeah, it was very relaxing. The company was an interesting, eclectic group as usual.
So was that your first Howl experience, period?
Oh no, absolutely not. I went to a couple way back in the day. Those were my first.
But it's the first one in quite a while, then, I take it.
Yeah. Since 2019, I think maybe so. Yeah.
I think it was the same weekend that I went camping down south of the island, and that was the weekend where I met a Therian face to face for the very first time.
Oh.
So one of my buddies, he lives in Edmonton, and he just happened to be on the island visiting some family friends. So we arranged to spend an afternoon and evening together, and yeah, it was nice. It's really kind of interesting being in the physical presence of a Therian and knowing that they're a Therian. And lo and behold, I don't think I'm kidding myself. I actually could start to pick up on little subtle cues of body language and stuff within a matter of minutes, which kind of blows me away because normally people are a brick wall to me. I can't read them at all. So it was kind of interesting having that unspoken communication with somebody. That's not something that I am familiar with.
Huh. Can you like quantify, what it was?
That feeling, that sense that you get, that you understand a person's mood or get a sense of how they just reacted to something without them having to actually say it. Doctors would say that's an autism thing. I guess I kind of agree with that to a certain extent. It is a classic autism thing where we don't pick up on people's body language cues and stuff like that, or social innuendos. Complete mystery to a typical autistic person. There's also the Therian dysphoria type of disconnection at work there for me as well. So it was really interesting being in the presence of another person and being able to actually get past that barrier, especially so quickly. Normally, I only have that kind of unspoken communication going on with canines. I can read canine body language, no problem, but humans, forget it. So that was my first experience, and that's what howls are really all about, is the joy of celebrating being in the physical company of others like yourself.
BlackPaws, I know I've asked Traveler if the Yap would like to hop on at some point to talk about the Howl too, but are there any other like highlights for this Howl at the recent Howl at the PNW that you would like to discuss?
Well, maybe mention that Saturday night we some of us did sort of a group guided meditation thing. That was another first for me. Yeah, I have to admit I'm not very good at the whole meditation thing, and the concentrate, just sort of the clearing of the mind and all that. So I'm not 100% sure, if I got as much out of it as maybe others did. But it was worth trying. I'll definitely say that.
Cool.
My mate and I went to a guided meditation at Anthrocon one year, and I don't think it worked for either of us because my mate, I don't know for sure if he has aphantasia, I think is the word Verax uses, where people cannot like actually visualize mentally, but he has a lot of trouble with creating those like visual scenarios in his mind. And for me, I think it's I do have a vivid mental imagery and a very active imagination. So when I'm going through some sort of exercise like that, like most of my meditations that I try to do actually are more focused on mindfulness and trying to get my thoughts to stop. But when I'm doing those visualization techniques where I'm, in tiger mode, running through the forest or whatever I'm doing, it was more jarring for me to have someone else telling me what I was supposed to be seeing or experiencing, because it was the contrast to what I was supposed to be doing.
That's the barrier that I experienced when I tried a guided meditation, is I found it almost invasive having somebody trying to steer what I'm experiencing. Yeah. I'm very visually oriented that way too, to the extent where I often find structure just too limiting. That trips me up. That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we did have a bit of that discussion, afterwards there as well. It's definitely not something that everybody will get the same benefit from. So,
was that the first time they had done something like that collectively?
I haven't gone every year, but I mean, I think this is my second, third year. But yeah, I mean, it was a first for me at least.
Super cool though. Like for the VA Howl, last year was the first year that we really tried doing something similar to like a drum circle. And I'm glad that we did it, because I've had a few people come contact me afterward and be like, hey, it was really cool that you all did that. They didn't even care that like we didn't know what we were really doing. Some of us weren't. Blue, you probably knew what you were doing. But a few of us were kind of like bapping drums the best we could, and just trying to figure out how to find rhythm and things like that too. But I think it's cool that like as these groups continue to kind of get more consistent, the people that are in them feel a little more comfortable with doing that kind of thing, like testing their own personal boundaries a little bit, seeing what else might work for the entire group or whatnot.
You can definitely see that.
We actually, a few of us have the Virginia Howl coming up. It's a month from now, I think, a little over a month. So BlackPaws, you're going to have a double whammy. You're going to lead the guided meditation this time, okay?
I mean, if you give me a script, sure.
Sure enough. But yeah, so for those of you who are listening out there, the Virginia Howl is September, or is it the weekend of September the 27th, I think. I will put a link in the episode description so you can check it out, and you can feel free to reach out to me, Blue, Tiger Acolyte, O'Brien, if you know who that is. If you have any questions about like if you'd like to attend but you're not sure, you want to know what it's about, just feel free to reach out to one of us, and we will try to we'll try to pick you up and lob you into the lake, or I should put you in one of the group chats. So we've got a few meet group things going on. I think we're trying like a weekly video chat so people can get to know each other and kind of get a sense of camaraderie before meeting each other in person. So actually, BlackPaws, you attended the one that was last night that I totally forgot about, right?
Oh yeah, yes, I did. It's a small group of us, going over practical stuff, but it was the first time I've been seen in person by, I think, everybody else in the group. So if nothing else, it helped to get sort of that personal connection, I suppose.
Cool. So yeah, it's a kind of casual group and whatnot. Does it seem so? It seems like having some kind of icebreaker like that might help out for people in the future.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what it's what it would be. How knowing what at least what people look like would change things, but I don't see how it couldn't make me at least a little more comfortable.
It's until you actually have seen someone face to face, even on video camera, there's kind of like a frontier there that hasn't been broken yet until you've had that face to interaction. Definitely, it helps to settle people for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure. Again, VA Howl, we're going to try to keep things not too super structured, but it sounds like we've got some, I think, one planned community meal Friday night and one sometime Saturday.
Yes.
So we're planning on doing like a drum circle kind of thing again, general camaraderie. I think I'm going to not bring the rain stick though.
Probably a good idea.
Do it, YOLO.
So he doesn't bring the rain stick, and then you get a brush fire come after you.
I don't know if we'll be doing another recording this year or not. If we do, it's going to be different questions for the people who are returning or whatnot, but we'll see. All right, with those discussions of the Howls completed, I'm going to move on to an interview that I recently had with the host of the new Jersey Howl. This is someone that we interviewed during the last Virginia Howl, actually, and hopefully his insights and experiences are going to help those out who may be interested in checking out a Howl or even hosting a new one.
If you want to, you can reintroduce yourself. This is your second time on the podcast because you did one recording with us live at the Virginia Howl. Yeah. So if you want to give like a recap of who you are, go for it.
Hi, I'm TK, 34-year-old Grey Wolf Therian here, living in the beautiful city of New York, New York. I have really known what I am since 11 or 12, just completely, and it took a while to settle with that, but after a while it was just, okay, it's just me. That's cool. And I really just wanted to organize something, and that's how New Jersey Howl came about.
So I guess just for everyone else to know, you did attend the VA Howl last year. Was that the first Howl that you attended in person?
Yes, that was my very first Howl. I heard about Howls as far back as like 2006, 2007, but I was too young and had no idea, what anything was. So, I'm glad I got to finally go to one. It's amazing seeing other Therians in person. I think we don't do that often enough.
I know back in the early 2000s, I heard about howls kind of being more or less like across the U.S., but never within like an accessible range for me. So yeah, a few years ago, I was kind of like, it's kind of try to make these things a little more localized if we can.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
So it's definitely cool that you gave running a howl of your own a good shot, and kind of tell us some about that experience.
Sure. So we planned for it to be like 2-3 days, so on and so forth. We ended up getting there around, I don't want to say dusk, I want to say early evening probably. It was great because you knew that people wanted to talk about their experiences, but we were all just sort of a unit. And that night, after we had some fun times setting up tents and attempting to cook food, I'm glad glad everyone was safe after that. But after we got to eating and finished eating, the guys got real silent, and I just had to say something. I was like, I'm glad everyone's here tonight. I'm glad 4 Wolfarians in the same place. IRL, this is great. And just got everyone to, go around the horn with their experiences and sort of what brought them to that moment with us all there. And then it was just great, just bonding with everyone. And then next day we had this crazy hike, and it was amazing. We went up this large mountain. Well, it seemed large. I was tired. And we found this 300-year-old gutted out castle, and it was amazing just witnessing that and being in that place. The hike back was crazy, but we all made it, and that was the cap on our time there. Obviously interspersed with a lot of talking and getting to know each other and so on. But those were really the 2 big events, and great pass for first year. We're looking forward to doing it next year too.
So I am a little curious about the food situation, but I know in the in the house that I've been to so far, it's interesting because people start rolling in and there is the whole tent setup thing, and it's surprising, but it's right off the bat, that's already kind of a team building experience. Everyone's derpy. Some people don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, it was definitely an experience, and just not thinking so much and letting everyone just sort of radiate around to the tasks that needed to be done. I remember people were calling my tent the Harry Potter tent because it was big and it was blue. Although I don't know, I think Ravenclaw is blue and Gryffindor is yellow and red, which would make me the Ravenclaw tent and not the Harry Potter tent. I think something like that. But we set up the Harry Potter tent or whatever we were calling it, and I realized that I'd forgotten my my pump for my air mattress, so I just slept on the flat air mattress and my bag for the trip. It took me back to my scouting days, and especially because I picked the location because it used to be my old scouting camp back when I was in Boy Scouts, and that was really it was amazing. It was nostalgic. It was great to come back to that place and rewrite that experience into something current and something life-giving and good. Being around your own, I think, was being around us. It was good.
I thought that was kind of cool too, because when you expressed interest in hosting a howl, I thought you were going to think about something up in New York, and you were like, nope, New Jersey. So I think it's kind of cool that you, in a sense, you did reconnect to your past and also shared that with other people. So I think it's a good idea for people to kind of introduce special places from their lives to other Therians too.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, some people may have trauma and you don't want to go back to those places, of course. But if they're good memories and they're good places, then why not incorporate other people into them, even if it's you're much older. That's fine. It's just being able to sort of just meaningfully connect with the parts of yourself, that draw their strength from, whatever they may be, past achievements, past interests, so on. And if you can use that to validate, either what you are or what's in your heart, then I think that's really important.
So what happened with the food? Because I didn't see it in the VA Howl, but I got reports of food kind of being catapulted, and I'm not sure what happened. I'm just wondering if this is similar.
So one of us, it wasn't me. I'm gonna just put that out there. It was not me, and that's not a guilt. That's not me like sitting around like the guilty puff with my teeth out. No, it actually wasn't me. And I don't know. I'm not gonna give names, but one of the guys had some cooking ware, and I don't know if it was it was like a satellite kind of device. It looked like, at least it looked like something from space. It had like aluminum foil that was like coming out in squares or something, and there was like a central like heating mechanism that looked like it came off the light bulb. And then what was on top of that, I didn't really catch, because by the time it had turned on, it was like there was not a fireball. There was no fireball. There were no fireballs involved here, but it looked like a large fire. And
I'm a little concerned that you felt the need to repeat that a few times. There's no fireball here.
No, because then I realized, oh crap, I said the word fireball. Now I really have to walk it back, which I think put me in Gatsby mode and just made everything worse. Oh goodness. But no, everything was fine. We got some water on it, and everything, nothing even got to the ground or on anything. It was good. It was just a funny period in the night. It was good.
And nobody lost any fur?
No fur singe here.
There you go. That's the important thing. It's woof woof, not poof.
Right, woof woof, not poof. That was good. I like that.
So I have to say that it sounds like you actually ran a howl before I have, because you said there were 4 wolves there. Oh, it's just 4 wolves. So
just 4 wolves.
Technically it's a howl, right? It's an official one.
Oh, we did not howl, but maybe next year we will. I wanted to do. I don't know. I the name leader, I think, or anything like that, is, I think, less relevant. I think, because I think we were there just to co-create an experience, no matter how. I think it was a very good quality experience. We had this. I think this camaraderie that we built up around just getting each other through the hike, and that was good. And I just like creating connections between people. And I mean, one thing I thought is, as soon as we were leaving the Camp Glen Gray, if anyone wants to look it up for their campsite or their howl at some point, email, contact me, and I can put you in contact with the guy in charge. But other than that, just after we left the camp, I said, these were 4 wolves, including me, who can get socially awkward at times, and I think when discussing something that personal, good to leave some time, leave space, let people not talk so much, and experience nature and what that brings. I thought that was important. I didn't want to bill myself as the head of anything. I wanted us to co-create the experience together and see how it went. I think it went good. I hope other people do too.
I think especially since the howls that are popping up have typically older Therians. I mean, older, but the more mature Therians.
Yeah, sure.
There's not so much like that sort of like alpha dynamic that people might think from the outside. It is pretty much like team cooperation. There are sometimes people who step forward because they're maybe better at something, or maybe they're better at giving directions, or better at a certain activity or something like that. But for the most part, it seems pretty balanced to me. So that's something that I do like too. I think if anybody tried to like stand up and quote unquote be the leader, it would probably just be kind of awkward.
Yeah, it's like, what does that even mean? Like, we're all here just to experience each other and the environment. and to bond over our shared sense of, I don't know if you want to call it animality or if you want to call it, shared sense of connection to nature through a shared non-human identity or something like that. Whatever you want to call it, it's there to be experienced, not for people to get clicky over or have tiffs or whatever, petty nonsense. I don't know anything about that nonsense. I know some people do. We don't do that here. And so I just hope to keep all of that out of any other interactions I have in the community as well as outside of the community going forward.
You brought up a good point that I think we mentioned before on the podcast too, is that typically the people who come to howls, they kind of give this disclaimer that they're going to be socially awkward, and yet it's like a barrier is kind of gone though when they get there. Like, did you see? Was it kind of like there were a little bit of a walls down around the others after a while, or?
I do. Like, there were two guys who came together, and I think they were roommates of some sort. And they were obvious. Like, they were. Oh wait, no, 3 wolves and a fox. My fault. But I think it was 3 wolves and a fox. I think Red Lion's a fox. So 3 wolves and a fox, and there was a wolf and there was his fox roommate, and they were obviously very close. Me and the other wolf that was not the roommate, he picked me up from the train station, and we were just sort of shooting the shit or whatever. And he seemed shy, but by the time we succeeded in eating for the night, he sort of came out of his shell, and we got a good conversation going about what made us came out of what I'm terming the cage. I'm coining the term the cage as a Therian analog to the closet for gay people. I just want to put that out there. And we just had a quick, what brought you out of the cage, what woke you up. And, I'm not going to share details. Obviously, people, want to have their privacy and so on. But it was a very good conversation.
What about things like nonverbal communication? Did you think that played like a bigger part in the howl, or do you think that wasn't really such a big thing?
I think there was a lot of nonverbal communication. I think everyone was just trying to, I don't know how to put this. It's like on the hike, as long as you keep walking, you're one of us. Something like, it was very, very simple, very primal, very like non-questioning kind of mentality. And then I think I got left behind. No, I told him to go up to the camp because I had to catch myself with some water. And then when I got back up to the camp, like, they were already putting their tents away. And I was just, I said, guys, thank you so much for just being patient with me as I get used to the hiking terrain again. And everyone was cool. I think when you get into environments like that, you realize, it's not the superficial things, it's about the things you share with other people. In all, it was I believe it was a good start to a larger sort of gathering that I hope to build up, between in New Jersey first, just to see how many of us can come out of the woodwork, and then in New York to see how many of us are actually there. If there are more, like, say, corporate Therians who can give less mature folks who are interested in that mentorship or something like that. That's what I really hope to be able to do at some point, is to connect people with not just who they are, but like the opportunity to express who they are, whether that means getting a job or helping them sign up for an academic program or something, or donate to a wildlife refuge, or volunteer for a wildlife refuge, or do something that's involving the environment, figure out what those opportunities are. I think it's so important for people to be able to, for Therians to be able to express their animal side in some way, or at least be supported by the community.
And that's one thing I kind of advocate for too, is that sometimes people see the Therian community and they just see it as like
chaos.
Well, that too, but they see like the defining factor as just people with therianthropy, and then everyone that's out here is their own personal individual.
Mm-hmm.
You know, three-dimensional being. They have their own interests. They have their own strong points. They have their own weaknesses.
And so on.
So, to me, I think that like building a strong sense of community does include, you know, helping each other figure out how do we also succeed in the working world. How do we gain new skills, things like that too. So I think that it's always good to have that kind of dynamic going on too.
I think so, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. You know, if there are, there are a variety of talent entrepreneurs, and there's a growing ecosystem of startups here in New York that might be interesting to see if Therian Guide could become like a test bed for wildlife or conservation focus, so on kinds of opportunities. I don't know if subsidized the website would make sense, but I'm not putting any concrete ideas about that here, certainly right now. These are just off the top of my head.
I'm going to loop back to some other questions that I kind of had for writing down stuff.
Cool.
So since this was your first Howl,
mm-hmm.
and I will actually say congratulations on getting this up and running.
Thanks. Thank you.
It was kind of a short turnaround or a quick turnaround.
Yeah. I've been organizing for years, so I knew what to do.
Okay, awesome. So, what are some things that what are some pointers that you can give to people who may be thinking about giving their first Howl, who maybe don't have that organizing background and may need those kind of bullet points for things to consider?
For first time Howl, I guess few things to do would really just to be do you want an inside environment or do you want an outside environment? You know, no matter where that is, narrow it down to like 2 or 3 and contact those organizations or those parks or so on. Figure out by when you have to reserve any campgrounds or any kind of nature environment that you may want to be in. Really get the campgrounds set up and decided before anything else, just to know that it's there. After you run a poll amongst your participants, asking them what times they're available, and then seeing how many times overlap. Once you've got everyone's scheduled times and when they're free, then you reserve the camp space. After you reserve the camp space, you just make sure that everyone is, what mode of transportation everyone is coming in with, whether that be train or car, or, one guy wanted to come on his motorcycle, but his roommate said no. And I was like, thank you. I would love to see your Harley, but it may not be a good place here in the forest. I don't know. I wanted to save his bike. I hope I did. But you just want to continue to communicate, follow up, and be receptive to people's plans changing slightly and try to work around that. Tolerate a bit of ambiguity. It's a good skill to learn.
I think it's definitely a good point to not be super rigid. You have to have some degree of flexibility, especially with again, adults. Things can come up with people's jobs, family issues, stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that degree of flexibility. One thing I want to chime in with too. So in the past, I've tried reserving a site at a national park for the Howl.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And sometimes you have to pretty much catch those right as soon as they open up, or you're not going to get one. So it is a very good point to be somewhat knowledgeable about the area that you're going to when they're opening up for reservations and stuff like that too, or you could miss out.
Completely agree. It's got to be. I completely agree. It's got to be either you're watching those day to day, or you have whatever what did you have a bot that automatically makes a reservation when a suitable area opens, and you define that by whatever research parameters you want. But if you want to embark on a machine learning project like that, all power to you. But just be wary, be careful, but be open minded and be flexible too. It's fun for everyone.
So, what about advice for things to bring for the Howl? Were there any things that you forgot? I know you said the pump for your air mattress, and that's a critical thing. I've been in that position before too. It sucks.
When I was in the Boy Scouts, there were several instances where we went to this very same camp and use cabins and have the whole troop in cabins. And I would either like forget a pillow or forget like sheets for the beds or like for my bunk or something else. I would end up sleeping in multiple layers of coats, like it was like the 17th century or something, in like 6-degree weather. Those were fun times.
And they're done that too.
Yeah. I think the things that you should bring to prevent going through that sort of suffering are A, don't do it in the fall like we did. B, spring, summer, please constrain it to that. But other than environmental factors, B, just make sure to bring a tent. Make sure that you have directions for assembling the tent, because that crap gets real really fast.
Yeah.
Oh my god. My tent was bigger than like the little upraised platform they had to actually put it on slightly, and I'm like, oh my god, this shit is the Harry Potter tent, because if we get it on successfully, it will be magic. I'm just like, okay, so you gotta fit your tent to the location well if you can. You have to make sure to bring modern, functional cooking equipment, and
yes,
lots and lots of bug spray. Lots of like your whole fucking camp should smell like the joy of childhood as a function of bug spray.
You're not wrong.
YMCA. I think that having the little anti-mosquito torch things. I don't really know the name of those. If
like
they have a name.
Torches?
Yeah, if they're called tiki torches. Yeah, so I would say that might be a good idea. Put some tiki torches around your camp area if you just want to avoid bugs, because we were sort of wishing that we'd thought of that at that time. But it was cool because if we were in like Florida, we would be leaving. But this is New Jersey, this is not such moist forest, not such swampy environs. So just make sure you have whatever you can to keep the bugs away. Oh my god. Pack extra food. You never know like what you're gonna need. Scout mottos, be prepared. I think they were right. I think that's just what you need to survive in nature. Just be prepared for any externalities. When we went on the hike, I brought 2 pairs of clothes in a backpack because I knew like the more tired I was going to get, the fewer clothes I wanted to have on. I started with like some rolled up khakis with like boots and an Oxford, and ended up with like a t-shirt and shorts and like sneakers with no socks coming down the mountain. So know your limits. To the point of knowing your limits, make those limits known before going into any excursion, whether that be hiking or skiing or whatever. If you're a polar bear and you're all polar bears, you go to a ski resort or something. That might be fun to think about. But just make sure whatever you are, make sure everyone's on the same page with regard to limitations, because limitations are important to make sure everyone is fine and dandy at the end of everything and not regretting anything.
I think one thing to kind of something that I've kind of caught on for recons and stuff like that too is make sure people are hydrating right. Make sure you don't want someone to pass out because they're not drinking enough water. Especially
I bought 4 water bottles.
Yes.
And I was still running out, and I was still kicking myself for not bringing as many as I needed, and I had no idea what it was.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's really easy to over prepare too, but I guess in that kind of case, it's better to be over prepared than under prepared. But like you were saying, if you're not used to hiking and stuff like that too, you might get wrapped up in the conversations that are going on and not realize how taxing it is on your body.
Yeah.
So it's good to have like, I'd bring extra snacks and stuff like that too, just stuff you can kind of stuff away somewhere and bring with you.
I completely agree. It was amazing. My boy Ash, when beast mode real quick, we had like this small rock face that we were coming back up from on the walk back from the castle, and one of our participants literally like leapt up the rock face like a literal wolf and just like scrambled up there like it was nothing. I was like, oh my god, how did you do that, dude? Massive respect. Oh my god. So I was like, wow, I may be a wolf, but this wolf has a little bit of chonk, and I can definitely learn from someone who has that kind of skill and be inspired by that. To just get real fit real fast, because I do want to I do want to start hiking more. It's been a while. It had been a while since my last hike in May. I think just continuing to do it. I mean, I live near Central Park, and I definitely could do more hiking there or just walking there. I think for anyone listening who may think, oh, I may be predator, but I don't. I weigh a lot or something. I don't think that. Take that and just disregard it, because it doesn't matter how much you weigh. It matters what you want to do, who you are, and how much effort you want to put in expressing yourself. And I think that's a very positive thing to do as much as you can.
One of the things that you wrote down in the bullet list of things to go through was mentioning about having the potential to get shifty in the howl, and you wrote something about maybe having someone who can co-organize and help out with stuff like that too.
Yeah.
I think sometimes in howls I am so focused on helping to organize things that I don't give myself that time to let my fur out, so to
Same.
speak. So is that kind of how it felt like for you for this one?
It sort of did, because I felt the responsibility to secure my own tent, but see what other people needed and how to secure the food and the food apparatus and everything, try to make sure that was successful and so on. And I didn't do it all. We just sort of mind. I know we didn't mind meld or whatever, but we sort of got into a rhythm of just helping each other and started doing what was needed to be done. I think you're right about the sort of operations and organizing part taking precedence in the mind of the organizer. That definitely happened with me, and it was difficult to shift from the mindset of I want the organization to be successful to let's get shifty with it. I wanted to. I really I think it's good to have two people that play off of each other, and someone who's really good at the organization part of it, and someone who's just really good at the social part of it. I don't know how to put it into corporate speak or something. If they were in the equivalent of an experienced manager or something like that. I don't know what else you would call it, but someone who's really just good at making everyone feel as connected as they can and asking the right questions at the right time of everyone to break the ice at multiple levels. That can be complicated, but I mean, I know people who do that, and unfortunately they're not Therian. But I could always know more of us. I strive to do that. I don't know. It would be great to have someone who's more focused on that area of the howl exclusively, the real social good nitty gritty side. You know what I mean?
I think that kind of comes with time too, because with the VA Howl, we have some people who have returned every year, and that helps. First off, that helps build the rapport and helps kind of with the ice breaking and stuff.
Yes,
but it's you kind of learn what things work and don't from those howls,
right.
And then going forward, I feel in the last howl we kind of jumped into more meaningful conversations than I have in the past with howls,
right?
And it's just something that's gained through experience.
Yeah, I guess you're right. There's no real way anyone can be perfect, of course. No one's perfect, and even if you want it to be a sort of socially perfect experience that you put together in your mind, Mike Tyson has some great advice. Everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
I don't think a howl is a punch in the face. I think it's a warm embrace. But I think it's also a chance for Therians to say, okay, what can I do right now to make something like this happen? And along in any kind of time frame, because the reality is, the community is, we have a lot of us. There are a lot of Therians around who have not come out of the woodwork, and we need gatherings like Howls and more local things to really build a sense of community and, continue building our culture and, or I don't know what you would call it, subculture or culture, whatever. But I think those would be wonderful things to have.
Interesting too is that I find that a lot of the people that came to my house so far are super. They're usually not super active in the online community. They kind of. I'm not sure if that's the same case as it was with yours, but
I'm not
I
sure.
don't know. I guess they kind of want it to be like a more chill kind of experience. So
yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think everyone just wanted it to like be whatever it was. And it just was this very like not nonverbal, but like I don't know. It was just a very like natural connection. I think that just of camaraderie that we accumulated through, the shared struggle of getting through and up a mountain, and then coming back, over all of that to hike down and up and down and up back to our campsite again. I think the shared experience of doing things like that between people is older than humankind. The strength of the wolf is the pack. The strength of the pack is the wolf.
All right. Are there any other things you would like to bring up while we're here?
That if anybody wants to help me plan New Jersey Howl 2023 in May of 2023, please contact me via Discord at T like Tommy, K like Kettle, hashtag 7943, and just strike up a conversation and be nice to talk to people. Thank you so much for listening, and I really hope this was helpful for people. I hope I can talk to some of you soon who've listened. Thanks so much.
Definitely thank you for coming on and sharing this. I'm hoping that as more people hear these Howl startups, it's going to help inspire people to reach out to others and try to just figure out how to get these things going. They're not as complicated as it may seem to get up and going, but they also are at the same time.
We can
It can be a little bit like herding cats. Yes, we can. But there's no real right or wrong way to do these things, and we're all kind of working on figuring them out together. So I think it's good to get more voices out there and to hear that people are meeting.
I really like that viewpoint, and I really think that the more that we do things, the more that we communicate about it, I think more of us will gain the courage to come out and meet others in real life. So I hope that too, and I really appreciate you for having me on. Thanks so much.
Thanks again, TK, for doing that interview. We hope it is helpful for anyone who's listening in. So next episode, we are going to cover the topic of role-playing in the community, and several members from the podcast crew have pushed a poll out there in different directions. If you're in different Therian servers or forums or things like that too, just to get like an idea as far as if you are a Therian, do you role play? Why do you role play? Do you even like role play? Does it irritate you? That kind of stuff, like temperature gauges. So go ahead, you guys can hop in with your thoughts on that too.
All right. We put this topic together. It's been on the table for a little while now because we all started to notice that the topic of role play itself gets handled quite differently in different corners of the Therian otherkin communities. It really does depend a lot on where you go in terms of how it's handled. And not only that, I in particular have started trying to advance this concept of making a clear distinction based on people's reasons for engaging with role play as a Therian. Are they doing it just for fun, or are they doing it to express their Therio side? There's a very distinct and tangible difference between the two. For the purpose of preparing for this episode, we have, as mentioned, put out a number of polls into various different corners of the Therian community, asking what people do for roleplay, why they do it, trying to get at the core of seeing these distinctions and all these different nuances behind it, because it's a very complex issue, and there are situations where it causes misunderstandings. So, having said that much, we hope anyone who is on one of the spaces where these polls have been posted will take some time to give it a look. I've got one set up at Therianthropy Discord, hosted by Ruddertail. It's on the main chat in the pins. If you're on that server, go check the pinned messages on the main general chat and you'll find the poll there. It's not too late to respond to it. So the similar poll was also posted on Therian territory a few months ago. That one has since been archived, but it's still there, and you can bring it out of archive by simply responding to it. Zef, you said that you've put a poll on TG, correct?
I think it's got a few more answers or a few more options than some of the other polls had. But again, that's kind of me trying to figure out, like, in the future, how would I like to see, or like, I don't know, me trying to figure out how I think polls could kind of help people think outside the box as far as their own responses. But that poll is going to be open for a while. Tiger Acolyte, you posted the poll on Wireless too, right?
Yes, I posted on Wireless, and I also had it make a round through Crossroads as well.
Excellent.
And one thing I do want to say too is that if you're out there listening and you're in a part of the community where you're not seeing these polls and things like that go through, let us know if you would like to help us kind of not broadcast, what would be the word, signal boost, add participation. I think doing more community-driven polls like this is a really good thing. It is nice to get perspective from different avenues of the community. One thing that I have seen from the people that I've talked to about the poll so far is some people aren't sure what role-playing actually means. Like, there's like a blurred line between what actually constitutes role-play and what isn't.
There's a lot of blurred lines and miscommunications that go on around the topic, and that's one of the big motivating factors behind wanting to put this topic out there for discussion, is to try and see if we can help paint a clearer picture of what all these different nuances are. What is roleplay? What isn't? Why should you even care? That kind of thing.
I think it's healthy again. Sometimes there's not a whole lot of communication around, like, someone tosses a word out there and people jump to conclusions. There needs to be more communication around, okay, what does this concept actually mean to you? What does it mean to other people? Just so people stop jumping the gun and jumping to conclusions and being a little more mindful of, I guess, the overall Therian experience.
All right, and then looking ahead even a little bit farther, it's still a bit more tentative because, again, we're looking a little bit farther into the future yet. Probably would be the last episode that we produced this year. We are planning to revisit the topic of Therians through time again. For those who may not be familiar, episode 12, which was released last summer, talked about the concept of how Therian is an intrinsic experience, meaning that it arises naturally in the human population and always has been doing so. And therefore, if we take this particular lens and look at history through it, we can see potential evidence left behind that Therians have been documenting Therian experiences very similar to our own for thousands of years. This topic was visited first time a year ago. We're ready to get back to it now. Yeah, so looking ahead even further, after our roleplay episode, the next one after that should, in theory, be Therians Through Time once again. If this is a topic of interest to you and you feel you or someone you know may be able to contribute to it, please feel free to reach out.
I did want to ask, so for that episode, do you have a specific, like, I don't know if time frame is appropriate? Is there a certain era of human existence that you want to look into?
Yeah, that's correct. I did forget to mention that. Because this is such a broad topic and it covers such an enormous range of different historical periods, we broke it into 3 segments. The first section, which we already talked about, basically covered the Paleolithic era, the caveman days, starting from the earliest recorded evidence of human existence all the way up to the point of where tools were invented and civilizations began to arise, and that's where we cut off the first episode. This next episode is probably the one with the most meat on the bones, because we're going to cover the period from about a few thousand years BCE up until about 1000 CE, which will incorporate the historical period of all the ancient civilizations where most of the lore and mythology that people are familiar with today actually originated during this one broad era of human history. So we're going to be, on this episode, we're going to be looking at Egypt, Greece, and all these other ancient civilizations. We're going to take a look at the First Nations peoples and their various different beliefs. And the cutoff for this episode will be around time where mass oppression of the marginalization began.
If anyone out there has any insights as far as things that we should cover within that time period, you should reach out to us. Again, you can reach out to any one of us directly or send an email to the wherearewepodcast@gmail.com account. Either to kind of put in perspective points that we should bring up or questions that you may have for that period or just that kind of information. I know we do have a few other segments that are kind of in flight, but not really planned yet. I know we do need to go back to the Therian parents segment at some point too. So if you are a parent and a Therian and you would like to participate in one of those segments at some point, please do reach out to us.
We've got another couple of topics that are kind of on the table being looked at. Overseas Therians was a topic that we have on the table to look at some point, because we've noticed that the majority of the population in most Therian spaces that we're familiar with are pretty much dominated by people from North America and the UK kind of general region. So we don't really know as much as we should about what Therian communities look like in other countries and other parts of the globe. So we're kind of curious and trying to put feelers out there. We haven't gotten too far with that topic yet, but it's on the table.
I am going to try to be more structured with the podcast, and I probably said this last 10 episodes. I understand that. I'm still trying to figure out a way to organize with my own time to make these things be more frequent, less painful for editing, that kind of stuff too. So hopefully we will see a more consistent production. Again, life stuff happens. We can't help that. But I think all of us are on board with continuing the series and doing what we can to nudge things along.
I can't vouch for everybody, but at least on my end, I've kind of restabilized again, and I kind of feel like I'm in a headspace where I can devote some more energy to this, at least for the time being. Once I get back into school again, I might find myself swamped. But for the time being, I'm here.
Knocking on wood, I think that my life is stabilized too. The chaotic mess is back to a tolerable level of chaos. But yes, exactly.
Pretty much.
I guess one thing too that I guess my own personal initiative too is that I'm going to try to. I think the last few episodes that we've had, I've not really done much to engage the community in feedback or in participation and things like that too. So I'm going to try to be better about posting threads out that people can respond to, trying to find people who are participating in those conversations who want to come onto the podcast and be interviewed or participate in that kind of way too. I would like to try to figure out how to get these to continue to be expansive, representative of the vastness that is the Therian community in general. I know there's criticism that it seems like it's TG driven or something like that. It's my own. That's the limitation of my focus, really. I can try to branch out and get more people participate in other branches of the community too.
I think that impression is probably an impression that's going to fade over time, because when our podcast first got really going with its momentum, most of us were on TG. So that's really all we had to talk about. But times have changed, and in particular, moved on from TG and branched out into other directions. And I think now overall, our crew has a broader perspective on things than we did in the past.
And that's good. It's from the onset. If you listen back to the very first episode of the series, it was intended to be sort of a diverse mindset. So I think it's good to capture that. It's healthy. Not everyone needs to be in the same place. Not everyone needs to be talking about the same things. Not everyone has to have the same opinions about everything. And with communicating those diverse things, I think it just kind of helps the community be healthier in general.
Agreed.
All right. Does anyone have anything else that you would like to go on about?
Nope.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with the outro then. thank you all for listening in to the Where Are We podcast. If you have any feedback or if you would like to possibly participate in discussions, feel free to email us at at wherearewepodcast@gmail.com. I will make sure to spell it out in the episode description because I know I spelled where like where and not where like where, but it also is not like the where like, yeah. So that's a little confusing, but
Where are you going with this?
where. Yeah. So again, we would like to have members throughout the community continue to give us feedback. We've gotten some feedback from people that I think is pretty useful. I know there have been times in the past where we've been kind of vague about responses to things, and maybe it's a little bit too vague. So we're going to try to like remove that kind of vagueness from things. Again, we don't want to get really directly we don't want to get involved with like community politics or things like that either. So we're going to keep a respectful distance from certain things. But at the same time, we're going to try to not sound like completely confusing and like what is that in reference to. So we're going to try to commit to doing better about that.
Too much guarded and too much dodginess is not a good thing. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and I take accountability for that because I'm not. It's something that I'm not particularly well adept at handling, and I'm trying to work through it. So, again, if you are a member of any other part of the community and feel like your voice is not being heard, just talk to us in a respectful way. Dear God, don't scream at us and yell. Don't take it up on Twitter. Just approach us like normal people, please. Well, not normal people, but yeah, respect goes a long way. If you have any questions or anything like that, or if you feel like we're not like posting out polls in particular parts of the community or anything like that too, just let us know. Some of this kind of requires your feedback to let us know, hey, what parts of the community are benefiting from this and which ones kind of need that little bit of a nudge. Also, we will continue to, I'm going to have a few announcements once this is finished, ongoing community events, things like that too. Continue to let us know about these. If we are not made aware of events that are happening in the community, we cannot help promote them. So if you know about like a podcast that's looking for people to interview or a project that needs some support, absolutely let us know.
And also a good point to make on that score is that we need plenty of advanced warning. If we are told 2 weeks prior to the event, it's not going to get published in time to help. We need to know about it 2 or 3 months in advance.
Yeah, and I'm trying to be better about that too. Like I've thought about maybe there are some situations where we can just publish a shorter episode and help promote things, but sometimes life does get in the way. I would say if you can offer reasonable notice, it sometimes does take me like 2 or 3 weeks to edit one of these before we can produce it. Again, I'm trying to get under about streamlining that and whatnot too. The editing podcast is not my full-time job, and it's cat with. There's that old video with like the cat in the shirt with the human making his paws do the keyboardy thing. That's basically my editing process. But yeah, so any advance notice about upcoming events or things like that, the more notice you give us, the more likely it is that we can help you and we can actually do a good job about it. There's one case, one of the advertisements that I'm going to do for a server. I actually had time to hop in and kind of get to know people in the server a little bit and hang out and get a feel for the server. Like in that kind of situation, I think that's much better for people in the community than if I'm just promoting this random thing that I just heard of and can't really vouch for, or So we're trying to help make these things a little more impactful too as we go along.
Sounds good to me.
All right, and thank you to the rest of the crew for hopping in this time. It's been a while. We need to do these more often. I think we're kind of getting back into the swing of things. A few days ago, a few of us stabbed each other and vented and stuff, so that's fun. I just think as a community, I do see some positive things going on. I do see people reconnecting in good ways. Keep up that good work. We went through a lot of hell going through the pandemic, and a lot of people are trying to kind of get back into, I wouldn't say normalcy, but trying to find their way forward in the way the world is now. And I think it's critical to have some fun, go out there, play games with each other, meet with each other.
One quick shout out that I'll add to that is one thing noticed in particular that everyone should be proud of is that our community seemed to have a consistent tendency to have amazing artists. Oh my God.
It really does.
Every time I look at an art channel on a Therian Discord server, it's like amazing, amazing. Oh my God, that's amazing, amazing. There's so many creative people in our community. It's wonderful. And the more, the merrier, folks. Art is therapy. Do it. We want to see it.
Which does remind me, and I'm mad at myself for forgetting this too, but so it is almost September, and for those of you at TG, you know I usually host the Sketchtember event, which is basically a month full of, if you have any kind of inclination toward art, or if you desire to have some, we encourage you to hop in, and really it's just try to practice a little bit every day. Try to push your comfort zone with art a little bit. There are no like real hard deadlines or anything like that. No real like specific ambitions for goals and things like that. If you've never picked up a pencil before and you want to scribble a little bit just to learn how to do art better, come to Sketchtember. And one thing that I would like to do is, again, kind of with what I was saying earlier, if you are a member of another part of the community that's not like TG or not a place that I'm in and can help promote or whatnot too, and you would like to kind of coordinate this Sketchtember sort of thing to help artists, I guess, really network or give each other prompts or give each other tips for different kinds of skills and things like that too, I think it'll be really cool. When I first started doing this in like 2018, I didn't expect to see the response that I did. And we have some absolutely amazing artists who you would just not suspect it, because these people throughout the year won't show you their art at all. And then all of a sudden, boom, like something that just completely blows your mind away. And on the other side of that, like when I first started, I was not good at art. And I still won't say that I'm very good at it, but it's been a few years now and my own skills have gotten much better. So I just think that overall it's a very nice bonding experience. It's a great opportunity to get to know people, to test your own limits, to learn and explore new art mediums. Just kind of, if you're interested, give it a look. I've made a thread on TG, and I will link that in the description also. And if there are other parts of the community that want to get involved with something kind of like this, what I started it for was like a lead up to Inktober, which is a more formal thing that a lot more people in the artist community know about. Well, ink's permanent and hard, so I kind of encourage people to use mediums that are a little easier to kind of get to understand during Sketchtember. But even so, we've kind of moved on since then. So yeah, okay, I'm a little excited about Sketchtember since I'm babbling. But if you're interested, definitely reach out to someone, give the thread a check out, and do the art. Like, to support your art friends, give each other fun prompts and things like that too. It's I think as a Therian, a lot of us do have our own problems and obstacles with self-expression, and I think it just really comes out with some people in their artistic expression, and it amazes me.
Absolutely. I'd love to see some more of that stuff out there.
Note of helping other people get their voices out there, I would like to promote a Discord server for individuals who are either dragons or lizards who may want to share their experiences with others. It is a smaller server. It is friendly. It is a safe for work environment. It is a fun place to chill out. No pressure. They've had some individuals come in and determine that they are not actually either dragon or lizard kin. That's perfectly fine. So they're not going to judge anyone who determines that, hey, that's not actually part of my identity. I hopped into the server myself for a little bit today, and they do share a lot of draconic art, which is really cool. And the members there also have an interest in doing roleplay. The server has things that are dedicated for roleplay and also encourages it. They just need some more active participants. So if you are thinking that part of your identity may be draconic or lizard-like, and you think it sounds like a good fit for you, check out the link that's going to be in the description. If you have any questions, or if you want to reach out to one of the admin of the server, feel free to reach out to me and I will get you in touch with them. thing that I would like to shout out, I am probably going to pronounce this name wrong, but Syamori has dropped a new album. It is pretty cool. Unfortunately, as of the time of this podcast airing, the giveaway for a free download is already passed, so sorry about that. You can yell at me if you want to. Still, I'm going to drop a few links in the description for ways you can check out Syamori and the music associated with that account. The individual is a member of our community, so I think it's kind of cool that they've reached out and asked for us to give this promotion. If you're aware of anyone who is, or if you're an artist yourself, who is providing this kind of content and you want a promotion or a signal boost, reach out to us and we will do the best that we can to help other people find your cool stuff. It's really about trying to form a network and, again, engaging people with positive content, cool content, things that may kind of help out their headspace, things like that. With that in mind, some of the tracks are kind of designed with Therianthropy in mind. I think a lot of the tracks are kind of ambient. Overall, I thought it was a pretty cool album to chill out to. So I'm going to drop a link in the description that has multiple links within it. So if you're interested in getting in touch with Syamori on social media or listening to other music, feel free to check those out.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up? I know I was kind of wrapping up, so I need to wrap up the wrap up.
Let's kill this thing.
All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, and thank you to those who have joined. And we look forward to nomming your ears in our next episode. Okay. Thanks. Bye.